Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of Sandhar Technologies hosted by Axis Capital Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nikhil Kale from Axis Capital Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the results conference call of Sandhar Technologies. Apologies for the delay in starting the call. We faced some technical issues. From the management team today, we have with us Mr. Jayant Davar, Co-Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Yashpal Jain, CFO, and we also have Mr. Narendra Dubra from the finance team. I will now hand over the call to Mr. Davar for his opening remarks, post which we can have the Q&A. Over to you, Mr. Davar.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you, Jacob, for organizing this. And thank you to all the participants in this call today. Let me begin by wishing you all a very good morning and hopefully a good winter. Where the industry is concerned, we have a mixed bag. You are aware that two-wheelers are a little slow right now in their uptick. The four-wheelers are suffering on account of non-availability of semiconductors. The commercial vehicle market is kind of balanced and stable right now, so are tractors. The one area that is growing very rapidly is the construction equipment. So that's largely the play in the automotive industry as we like to look at it. Where Sandhar is concerned, I'm happy to convey to you, as you've already probably seen the results, that we have put up a strong performance in the first half of the year, despite the slowdown or the closure that happened for 2 months of the year. So if I look at pure numbers, our revenue for the first half of the year are about 1,032 crores, which is up 63%. EBITDA is 107% up at 95 crores. Cash profit is up 106 crores. And cash EPS, not annualized, is 12.53. So that's where we are. I'm just going to leave it there and then leave it to questions and respond, which may cover most of the items that you would want to know. I'm also very happy to announce that in line with the movement toward electrical vehicles, Sandhar has been active and our revenues from the electrical vehicle areas are in tandem or in fact ahead of the line of the entire electrical industry in India. So I'm going to leave it there and then ask you for your questions and try and respond in the best possible manner.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question, and first of all, congrats for the decent set of numbers in tough time. Sir, my first question is related with your capex plan. As you are putting around 5 to 6 plants in next 2 years, so just wanted to know how much capex you will incur and how much incremental revenue will come.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek, for that question. Yeah, I'm very happy to say that in these times which are looking weak, Sandhar as your company continues to see the light at the tunnel. In terms of our new investments, which are fresh investments, and I'm not talking of new revenues that will be built on organic or other growth, But like you said, we are building 5 plants as we speak. The total investment in the next 3 years is likely to be in the tune of about 300 odd crores, which will deliver a revenue of 761 crores is our calculation. This will be spread, if you look at it on an annual perspective, most of this investment will come in the form of this current year and graduate to almost zero levels in the next 3 years. The good news is that most of this is mature investment. So almost 80 to 90% of the revenue will start from the first full year of operations itself. So like I said, the investment is likely to be in the region of, so the total investment actually is about 300 odd crores. There are some incentives that have been built in. With this, we will look at asset turns of about 2.3 to 2.5 times.
So, sir, can we expect that this year CapEx would be around 200 to 250 crores, and the reflection of this CapEx would be seen from the FY23 onwards of adding around 500 to 600 crores of revenue?
So I will give you the details. We will spend close to about, like you said, 250 crores in this current year, which will give us a revenue of something to the tune of 570 additional crores in the next year itself, which is 20 to 23. In this year, because it's going to be graduated and most of this is going to come online starting from December till March, but it's slow. We will do 28 crores of revenue, 28 to 30 crores of revenue this year, but all 560 to 570 crores complete will come in the next year.
Okay, sir. And sir, most of the CapEx are towards the sheet metal business. So, and the current run rate of the sheet metal is around 87 crores on a quarterly basis.
A little louder, please. Sorry.
Sir, most of the CapEx is towards the sheet metal business, and the current run rate is around 87 crores on a quarterly basis. Can we assume that it will move up to the 130 crore, 140 crores in the coming quarter?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what you're looking at. So from the month of December onwards, we will start adding about 6 to 7 crores from plant 1, and then plant 2, plant 3, plant 4. That's the basis on which we are looking at. The next year, we will be ramping it up to about 50 crores a month additionally to what we are doing.
And all these incremental revenues coming from the HMSI and TVS or from the other players?
Yes. It is coming from HMSI. It is coming from Hero. We are putting up one new plant for Hero in Halol. That's a part of these new projects. There is Nalagarh, there is Hosur, there is Mysore. These are typically for TVS. So in all, it is coming from TVS, Hero, and HMSI, and also some MP.
Okay, sir. My next question is related with the aluminum casting business, which we have seen impressive numbers in this quarter, and the quarterly run rate has gone up to the 1.4 billion. So can we assume that this number will be sustainable? And just wanted to know that what are the new products have you added which is giving boost to your revenue?
Okay, so this business is not only sustainable, this is growing business. So as we speak, in the last call, I had told you that we have got a lot of additional business from HMSI as well, and from TVS, as well as from Denso. Now these are being developed as we speak in terms of tools and molds, and every month there is an incremental number that will keep throwing up in the aluminum casting business.
So what is the product-wise revenue mix? I mean the two-wheelers, four-wheelers in aluminum casting, and have you won some new business from the four-wheeler players?
Yes. So at this point of time, if I was to break it up, our two-wheeler business constitutes 55% of our business. Four-wheelers is 24%. The construction business and tractors is 16%, and others are 5%.
Sir, I was asking questions on the aluminum casting, so just wanted to know product-wise revenue contribution, two-wheeler versus four-wheeler.
So product-wise, revenue share is at this point of time 23% is ADC, which is aluminum die casting. Then there's locking system at around 20%. Sheet metal is about 14-15%. Cabins is about 13%. Assemblies are 9%. The mirrors are about 9%, and the balance is others.
Sir, my last question is related with the cabin and fabrication business. You have won several new business in India and overseas. So just wanted to know that what is the outlook for margin and revenue both? Cabin and fabrication.
Yes. So cabin and fabrication business is going quite rapidly. At this point of time, we have reached a run rate of almost 40 crores a month. And typically, the last quarter is, of course, the strongest quarter. The market seems to be doing extremely well, and we are very fortunate to have one new contract in this space, especially in the space of excavators. Now we are supplying to almost every excavator in the country, and we believe that excavators is the fastest growing module along with others. So we are very, very bullish with this business. If you remember, last year we were making losses in some of the units. They are all now profitable as we speak.
And what about the margins? This business had a very low margin, around 6 to 7%. What is the current margin?
That has been growing now. I think we've already upped it up by about 150 to 200 basis points. As the revenues grow, obviously this will grow. In the meantime, what has happened is because of the increase in commodity prices, while the absolute number of margin is growing, the percentage is having its effect because the raw material now constitutes a larger percentage.
Okay. Thanks, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question from the line of Sumesh Gulera from Green Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. Good morning. First of all, congratulations on great numbers. Sir, the question is with regard to the JV. So actually, we haven't seen much movement in the JV's financial performance over the years because when we read the news, it was very optimistic. But like in Vetron, it was proposed like there will be 150 crore capex over the 2-3 years. But till now, I guess till financial year 21, only 14-15 crores was showing in non-current assets. And in Daishin also, we haven't seen any revenue till financial year 21. So any significant events happening currently in the JVs which we should be aware of, something like that?
So Sumesh, just to answer that question, we have been very bullish on 3 of our joint ventures. Of course, Winnercom is now making profits, which is the one where we do shark fin antennas. The data cables has come to a break-even level. Vetron is kind of slow right now because of the COVID. There are many mandates of the government which are still to be executed. However, the business of Honda has now been confirmed to us, and we will start supplying to them from the month of January. This is the rear parking sensor business where we will not only go in for newer models, but their running change is being done with our models starting January. But the 3 most important JVs for us, one was Amkin, which was the helmet business. Unfortunately, because of COVID times and most of this business was supposed to be B2C, and the markets kind of closed, that did not get the revenue and the growth that we were expecting. However, like I said the last time, we have cleared the OEM perspective from every two-wheeler manufacturer. So we are the only ones who meet with the quality standards of every OEM, and we've got orders now from everyone. That's point 1. Point 2 is a big chunk of export orders has come to us. and therefore we expect that when this starts also in January, the volumes there will jump up dramatically. So while in the current scenario we've been running losses, and losses were also expounded a bit on account of commodity price increases, we believe that in the next quarter we will get a substantial relief from the losses and we will be on the way. So that is Amkin, that's point one. Point two was our joint venture where we do audio panels. This is in joint venture with a company called Jinyang of Korea, where we set up a new plant in Chennai to supply with Hyundai and Kia. Again, because of differentials of late launches and also on account of commodity prices, which delayed our negotiations with Hyundai and Korea, we continue to run losses. Those losses have now been brought into perspective, and we do believe very strongly that those losses will continue to abate as we go forward. The third one is Kwangsung. Kwangsung is the one where we had tied up for the manufacture of sun visors and BOT films. BOT films have started production and billing from last month. The sun visor business, which was largely meant for exports back to Korea and to the US and Europe, that got delayed because of container shipments and dependency of Hyundai to feel that India, at this point of time, if we start, logistics might create issues in shipping to different parts of the world. So that project got delayed. That project of CN7 has now been cleared, and our production will start of the sun visors in the month of February. So yes, there have been delays in the joint ventures, but we are as bullish as ever on this particular scenario. On Sandhar Daishan, again, the models got delayed, and we used this opportunity, which was given by the government of India, to bring down the taxes in new companies. Now, because Sandhar Daishan had been incorporated earlier and there wasn't much work done, we decided to close that company as Sandhar Daishan and open a new one in the new tax regime. So that's where we are with the joint ventures as of today, Sumesh. And while losses have continued, we do believe that the next quarter will show up promise throughout the entire chain of the joint ventures that we have.
Sir, my next question is what could be our expected revenue in next 2 to 3 years from JVs, and as a absolute number and as a percentage of our overall revenue?
Well, we do believe, Sumesh, that our revenues from this will go up to almost 500 crores in 3 years. That's what we are looking at, number one. In terms of percentage, I would hazard a guess if you would ask. I would imagine that number to be somewhere in the region of about 10% of our overall revenue.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the answer.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question from the line of Anish Jovalia from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. So one question I had on the ignition and the switching lock systems, and you have a slide where you are winning more businesses from the electric vehicle players. So, sir, what I would like to know is what are the trends over there, especially in this particular products. Is the requirement there for, say, the keyless entry systems incrementally in this EV products, and do we have the capability around the same? So how should one expect the trends in this new segment of the vehicles?
Yes, thank you, Anish. Very quickly, we are probably the ones in the front line of the business of immobilizers. Yes, you're absolutely correct that we've tied up with almost every key customer in the electric space for the supply of this particular product. There is a mixed bag. So some of the large volumes of players that you've heard of are looking towards not immobilizer kind of locks, but some of the ones, for example, let me name. Let's say Ather, for example, is looking at immobilizer blocks, and we are working with them. Ola, on the other hand, is looking at simpler locks on account of maybe reducing the cost because their cost numbers are high. It's a mixed bag, but suffice to say that in terms of capability, we are at the front end with us having 4 different levels of technology available in the immobilizer space, either with us directly from our own patented designs or from our partners in terms of whether it is Honda Lock or whether it is Vetron or whether it is another coating company that we work with.
So, if I summarize, because your voice was a bit shaky, I mean, I was not able, but you're saying that the demand is mixed. It could be either mechanical locks or it could be keyless or the electronic locks.
Well, I would say mechanical is limited. It is electric, electronic, and immobilizer kind of lock.
Okay. And we do have the technology for.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, 4 levels of technology. The only thing is there is a huge amount of price difference. Our traditional locks sell for about 300-400 rupees. Immobilizer locks start at 1,600 rupees. So effectively, at someday, all vehicles, all two-wheelers will have immobilizer locks. So that is a big play for Sandhar, depending on when that starts to happen. And you know, once it starts in the higher models, it obviously comes down in the lower models as well. So maybe we see this to be a 2-3 year horizon where all of them will be in place. But so 1,600 is the startup, and the highest level of immobilizer or smart locks, as we call them, go up to 8,000 rupees.
Okay. And so one question on
a huge revenue benefit going forward.
Okay, so this will be a big delta to our vehicle, right? As the transition.
That's right. In terms of even content per vehicle, you know, we spoke about sheet metal. Somebody asked about sheet metal. See, our content per vehicle, if you look at it, just for sheet metal, I'm not talking of the overall thing. Our current sheet metal per motorcycle, for example, was 655 rupees. The new business that we've added adds on 3,772 rupees per vehicle, and the total from 655 will go up to 4,427 per vehicle. If I look at scooters, it goes up from 180 rupees to almost 3,700 rupees. So there's a big jump in play. Even the sheet content per vehicle.
Okay. And sorry, I think because I was not able to say, but you are saying that this content per vehicle is overall our content per vehicle, right? Not.
No, I am talking about sheet metal only. If I look at locks and our other product line, our content per vehicle in motorcycles is crossing 12,000 rupees per vehicle. Not everywhere, but in many cases. So it's a combination. Some could be 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000, depending from model to model. But I'm just giving you a take as how this content per vehicle is growing. That's the story that Sandhar has always had, is to increase the content per vehicle.
So, in second question is around the aluminium die cast. Will you provide some strategy for understanding of your strategy around this business? So, are we targeting more of global or the export markets, or is it more domestic focused when it comes to aluminium?
So you are aware that our business overseas is largely aluminium. And if you look at the business of, let's say, our overseas business today, our overseas business is somewhere in the region, we expect that to be in the region of about 350 odd crores. So that's a large part of the business. That's all aluminium based, which has been growing well. The EBITDA margins are in fact now higher than that of the Indian business, and with the new plant in Romania, those numbers will accentuate and grow even faster. However, the Indian business is also growing very rapidly in the aluminium space. This is a space that we got into in recent times. And like I said, today if I look at it, ADC perhaps is the largest part of the business at 23% of our overall product-wise revenue share.
Right. So this business will also benefit from the China Plus.
Yes, absolutely. So the plant in Romania is largely done on the substituted business that we have got from our customers who have decided to source it from us against what they were buying from China.
Okay, so fantastic. Some of your time, so I'll just call back.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Kale from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir, for taking the question. So, my question was one on the overseas business. You kind of alluded to it in the previous remark, but can you just throw some more color on what's driving growth in this business? Specifically, I think in the casting side, we have been focused on few components, but are there plans to maybe diversify into some newer components? And what would be the key drivers of growth for you? If we be focusing on just the existing product and it's just more.
Nikhil, you are aware that lightweighting now is becoming a large part of the business, especially overseas in light of electric vehicles and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So traditionally, people have been going away from cast iron or sheet metal down to aluminum, and in many cases, even magnesium. You are aware we are also one of the front runners in the country doing magnesium business, but aluminum continues to be a pleasing scenario for the entire thing. We see a huge demand in this business going forward, not only overseas, but in India. We continue to not only upgrade our technology, but because of our supply line, we have been a preferred supplier, and many, many more companies are coming to us as OEMs in the new space as well as in the old space to build this new business. So we do expect that this business will continue to grow. And as I had been saying for years, the margins are growing. And we, like I said, even this year, our margins in the international businesses are higher than those of our domestic business. And we see that this trend of increase of margins will continue in the overseas horizon.
Okay, got it. And my second question was on the PLI scheme. Now, I think just a couple of days back, the list of the advanced products and technologies which would be eligible for the PLI scheme have been announced. So how are you looking at this scheme? What are the products? Are we manufacturing any of these products that can benefit from this, or are there any plans to get into manufacturing some of these?
Yes, you are aware of some of our product lines that fall into this category. In terms of connected vehicles, in terms of EVs, in terms of safety devices. So you are aware that we do a lot of safety devices in the spools that we manufacture. And now there are other components that are going to go into it. Our sensors business is something that falls completely in line with the list that has come out. Besides of this, not just parking sensors, but we have also got ready our tire pressure monitoring systems, which are again sensors. So in the current category that there are, we are already in the process or are supplying, but I think there are 4 more categories which will align and meet with our plans for items that are ready and developed, which will fall into the PLI scheme, and we will start getting benefit of it as it is, because like you said, the list was notified only 3 days ago. We and our consultants are working on making a list as to what is the entire benefit that could accrue to us over the next 5 years. But to answer your question again, succinctly, yes, it is going to be very beneficial for Sandhar going forward.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, as the industry is moving from the normal locking system to the specialized locking, where the realization is 3 to 4 times higher. So how much growth are you looking in this business in next 2 years?
Well, Abhishek, I cannot answer that question very clearly right now because it will depend on the adoption of the industry. You are aware at this point of time, as we sit, some people have delayed plans on account of the slowdown that has happened in the industry, especially in the two-wheeler space. I think the entry-level models have taken a back seat right now. So it is all about adoption. From our side, our products are ready to be rolled out. I know that the first set of rolling out is going to happen in the next year. But what is the speed of adoption is something that we will have to wait and see. That will be the OEMs who will decide. You will understand and appreciate that as soon as the first lots are rolled out, the second rung and the models below will also come in picture, and also depends on which one takes the call first. So if one motorcycle manufacturer takes a call first, the others will follow very quickly. We know that when the adoption happens, it will happen very quickly. It's just a question of who's going to bell the cat and when it will happen. So it won't be possible for me to give you a structure of how fast this will happen and how quickly the benefits will accrue to us. But yes, we know that it is inevitable. It is going to happen. There could be a difference of 6 months or 1 year here and there. And once it happens, it will happen quickly and it will mean a huge amount of revenue difference for us.
So what is the difference in the content per vehicle for the EVs and ICs for the locking system?
The locking systems, content per vehicle is the same both for EVs and for the others.
Okay. And sir, my next question is related with your investment in the Romania. So you are also getting some subsidy from the Romania government to set up this plant?
That's right. So we have got the first clearance from Romania from what I understand, the incentive that has been given to us is to the tune of about 66 odd crores.
Okay. And I mean, how many years you would be able to get it? 66 crores?
66 crores over 4 years, I understand.
So most of the capex would be recovered?
Yes. So we would recover, except maybe the land or whatever, but building and machines, because they're going to be shifted and some new, we expect that almost 80% of this would get covered.
So you are talking about the 2.5 to 3 billion capex for the next 2 to 3 years. So these capex is also included in that?
Yes, everything is included in that.
Okay. Thanks, sir. That's all from my side.
This is for the businesses, Abhishek, that we've already contracted for. Obviously, if there are new businesses that come in as we go forward, in the next 2 or 3 years, those would need additional capex, for which I am not in the position to say because those businesses haven't been confirmed yet.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand over the conference to the management for closing comments.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil, for putting this together. Thank you to all the participants for joining today. I hope that we've been able to clarify some of the questions that you had. In case there is anything else, please feel free to write to us and we will respond in more detail in any specific area that you might want to know, or whatever is allowable under the Act and the law. We'd be very happy to share that information. Like I said in the beginning, yes, the markets are a little slow, but it is bright for us to relay, convey, and feel that the company continues its journey unabated, and the investments that we've done in the past are coming to roost now, and we see the rate of growth to continuously grow despite of how the markets are playing out. So that's where we are. I want to wish you all a very happy Diwali. I know it's gone by, and the coming festive season and the new year. God bless and take care.
Thank you. On behalf of Axis Capital, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.